Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Friday's edition of the DCEU Daily. Friday? Already? Where has this week gone? But we have got a jam-packed show today. I'm reading you out 2 articles, and we're also discussing the fact that it's official, the Joker movie is now R-rated. What does this mean now for the DC world of movies, the new kind of Walter Hamada run films, film division? It's phenomenal. And if you knew his plans for the future, you would also be very, very excited. And we're talking about Birds of Prey and the continuation of Harley Quinn's story from Suicide Squad, but it's not a Suicide Squad sequel. And of course, very, very, very exciting. Coming later, Darkseid is officially in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. So should we get on with this? The first article I'm going to read to you is about Harley Quinn and, of course, Birds of Prey. So these articles are both from Screen Rant. So should we get on with it? Let's do it. Birds of Prey continues Harley's story. Isn't a Suicide Squad sequel. This kind of title of this article is stupid. Of course it's not a Suicide Squad sequel, otherwise you need to have some other characters from the original movie, so we know that, and we shouldn't be disappointed about that. Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Writer Christina Hodgson says the movie is more of a standalone film that continues Harley Quinn's story than a sequel to Suicide Squad. It was in the 2016 movie that Margot Robbie made her debut as the popular DC character Harley Quinn. Suicide Squad was a box office hit, but the reaction to the movie itself was certainly mixed. Robbie's performance shined brighter than anything else in the movie, though Warner Brothers immediately put several different Harley Quinn-centric movies in development. Out of the mix, it was Birds of Prey that solidified itself as the best project. Written by Christina Hodgson and produced by Robbie, the movie came together as an R-rated girl gang story that would see Harley team up with other female DC characters like Huntress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Black Canary, Journey Smollett-Bell. Kathy Yan was hired to direct the film last year, and many have wondered how connected it will be to the larger DC shared universe. The Birds of Prey writer recently spoke to Total Film via Harley Quinn Updates and discussed her approach to making the movie. She first teased how the subtitle of the film came to be before. Moving on to talk about the story, Hodgson described it as a standalone story rather than a sequel to Suicide Squad and explained how she wrote a story that could continue Harley's narrative without relying on what came before. Because, of course, they don't want to refer to Suicide Squad too much because that's kind of the old DCU and they want something fresh and independent, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Obviously, yeah, it's a character we haven't met before, but it really is its own story, and that's kind of how I approached it. I just tried to take myself off the leash. I fell in love with this character, and then all of these other new characters. I just created a brand new story that felt like its own thing, and that doesn't have to feel like it follows one or the other. Hodgson's standalone approach to Birds of Prey will still give audiences the version of Harley that they've quickly come to love, but it will also allow the film to be a fresh entry point for viewers. The official and unofficial looks of Birds of Prey indicate that Harley is growing as a character from where she was at the end of Suicide Squad. She's crossed out of a tattooed reference to Joker and appears to have moved on from him, which works to give Harley a fresh start when Birds of Prey begins. Birds of Prey isn't the only DC movie that is taking the idea of being a standalone story. First to heart through, almost everyone involved with the Suicide Squad refuses to call it a sequel or a reboot, with the label of both potentially being accurate at the end of the day. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman 1984 has been described as being not a sequel, either, despite it returning most of the main cast and creative team, with Matt Reeves, the Batman, going back to the Dark Knight's earlier days as a hero too. DC Films is certainly attempting to add some separation to their movies. Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn will be a great test of this idea, and hopefully it won't be too much longer before some more news photos or even a trailer arrive. I think definitely we're going to get a trailer really, really soon. So obviously Hodgson is a woman of very, very few words. You're not going to get much from her, but I can assure you the woman is a bloody genius. She's a great writer. Also excited that she's getting involved with the Flash movie. Now, I think the Flash movie is probably going to be one of the only of the 6 movies being developed within the DCEU that is going to really bring in the goodness and reference the other DCEU movies, the pre-Walter Hamada DCEU movies. Shazam did it as well. And I think the rumours of Cyborg being in the Flash are very, very accurate, and more about that as we get closer to that shoot date, because I think we're going to be hearing a lot of Flash news very, very soon. End of the year, maybe. So very exciting. That was a great article by Screen Rant, by the way. Basically, yeah, they don't really want to be associated that much with the Suicide Squad movie, the first one, which is a shame because I think it's a really good, solid entry. And if we actually got to have the Air cut released instead of the Warner Brothers cut, because that's what we got to see. Even the extended edition is the extended edition of the Warner Brothers cut, isn't it? We could have had a special film, but it doesn't matter. You know, there's been some rebranding for the DCEU. They're going with this not a sequel thing, where kind of we're making individual standalone films. But to be fair to Walter Hamada, I mean, even Wonder Woman 1984 is said not to be a sequel, and that film really hit home well. So that's kind of interesting as well. Look, it's still the same Wonder Woman. It's still the same Harley Quinn. They're both the same characters from those films. They're just going with this standalone thing. They don't want every film to be overly connected with the prior DCEU. But as I say, Shazam was really, really successful and did that really, really well. So next up, I'm going to read you another article from Screen Rant, and this is confirming that Darkseid is in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Yes, Fabian Wagner is at it again. Justice League cinematographer confirms Snyder shot Darkseid scenes. Now, I mean, Ray Porter's kind of confirmed this, the guy who actually played Darkseid in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. But Fabian Wagner's been at it again, and he's been doing a lot of talking. This guy does do a lot of talking, and actually that's good for us. Justice League cinematographer Fabian Wagner confirms he shot scenes with Darkseid as part of Zack Snyder's version of the film. It's been almost 2 years since Warner Bros. Released Justice League into theatres, but the movie that fans got was not the same as it was originally intended for audiences. Director Zack Snyder had to make changes to his script early on after the reception to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. But some of the biggest differences in the film came further along in the process after the director had exited the project in early 2017. Among the many differences between Snyder's cut of the film and one that hit theatres, which was overseen and reshot by Joss Whedon, Darkseid's role, or lack thereof, is arguably the biggest Snyder plan to feature the ruler of Apocalypse, whom Steppenwolf answers to throughout Justice League, but he's nowhere to be found in the theatrical version. Snyder is known for shooting everything that he storyboards and finished 100% of principal photography on Justice League. This gave most fans confidence that his scenes were filmed after storyboards with Darkseid were released online. Over time, details on Darkseid's intended role have come out, but some have still debated whether or not any of his scenes were filmed. In a new interview with Comic Book Debate, cinematographer Fabian Wagner helped set the record straight. Wagner has confirmed that they did shoot scenes with Darkseid using an actor in a motion capture suit. When asked if the actor in the suit was Ray Porter, who was reportedly chosen to voice Doctor, Wagner said no, he wasn't the guy in the suit as far as I remember. Now that Wagner has confirmed Darkseid's scenes were shot, it also confirms some other details about production under Snyder. The history lesson scene originally had the young version of Darkseid known as Euxus fighting on the Earth thousands of years ago. This action sequence included a fight between Ares and Darkseid, which Screen Rant previously revealed was ultimately cut down and altered to the Steppenwolf version that is in the final cut. Disgusting. Wagner's confirmation that Darkseid's scenes were filmed further backs up that this original scene and others with Darkseid were shot. As for Porter's involvement, though, Screen Rant has also previously confirmed that the actor did motion capture, performance capture, and ADR for the role. Since Wagner says Porter was not the one present for these scenes, it could mean that second unit DP Jean Philippe Gossett was responsible for shooting the scenes with Porter instead of Wagner. If that is the case, then a stunt performer could have been on set to film Darkseid scenes that Wagner was involved with. Beyond the comfort that some fans will get from knowing Darkseid scenes in Justice League were filmed, they may never see the light of day unless the Snyder Cut is eventually released. And of course, that's true. And of course, it's very exciting to know that Zack's vision was to have Darkseid in the damn movie, because Darkseid should be in the damn movie, and he should have been more referenced in the Whedon cut than for Darkseid. We know that Steppenwolf doesn't like Darkseid, his brother. They do not get on. There's something very interesting. In fact, they spoke about this before when they were talking about the film. I don't know if it was Zack or someone else. One of the, Chris Terrio or David Goyer, or one of those people, right, was speaking about that. So look. We deserve to see the Snyder Cut. Zack deserves to have it released. Chris Terrio deserves to have his full vision released. The Snyder Cut is the real version of Justice League. We were given some half-hearted thing. Let's just get this thing done. Let's get him sacked, and let's just rebrand this franchise and hope, we can get the mainstream audiences in. And to be fair to Warner Brothers, bringing in Walter Hamada has been genius. $1 billion for Aquaman, and Shazam hit home with the audience they wanted. So it's going well, it's looking exciting, and I'm happy about it. But at the end of the day, Zack's film should have been released. Then they should have said goodbye to Zack in a nice, professional manner. Because Zack and Warner Brothers have had a great relationship in the past, especially with Watchmen and all of that. But, it didn't end well. And this is a way the studio, now that they've got rid of Sujihara, and, actually Ann Sarnoff has started work now as well. Very exciting. So I'm sure the Release the Snyder Cut movement will be starting with those Snyder dollars and sending them to Ann Sarnoff. Very, very exciting. But I think we are nearly in the home straight for the Snyder Cut. And of course, when you hear that in Zack's cut, Darkseid is in it, that's very, very, very exciting. And we want to see that. It's a different film, isn't it? Yeah, there's some similar things, some similar beats, some similar scenes, but it's a different kind of narrative. It's a different tone. It's along with Man of Steel. It's the concluding part, if you like, or even in a way would have been, if he was allowed to do Justice League 2, it would have been the continuing saga. So what do you think? Hearing for a fact now from Fabian Wagner that Darkseid is in this movie, does that motivate you even more to fight for the Snyder Cut? Because it does me. Are you excited about Birds of Prey and the emancipation of one Harley Quinn? I certainly am, and I think it's going to be an awesome movie.